Facebook Live. Obviously, I do after every Borough game. I might be a day late. Obviously, time I got to Riverside last night was, I never got home till about 12:30, 1 o'clock. I'd like to thank all the sponsors as always. You can see them in the background, but I've got them here. Cornerstone Business Solutions, Galaxy Blinds, Advanced Utility Solutions, Smith & Friends Estate Agents, Cleveland Systems Engineering, Dovecot and TGM Cars. Well, Borough went into last night's game looking to keep an unbeaten run going. You know, we're looking to make it 16 without defeat. And we achieved that. 2 goals. Strelick wasn't really in it in the first half, but he scored the all-important goal. That's what good strikers do. And then the second half, Seni, if that's how you pronounce his name, finished off a great move. I didn't realise how great the move was till I watched it today. I always re-watch things, because obviously when you're live, you're talking, you're looking, and you're not really, you're concentrating, but not like a footballer when you're out there. 12 passes, 12 touches of the ball. We were taking 1 and 2 touch. Then it went to Conway. He took 2 or 3 touches, played it square to Hackney, and he sort of flicked it outside his foot into the path of Seni, and it was a great finish. He's got a player in front and watch it. If you've not seen it, watch it. I'm not overdoing it. It was a great goal. 12 passes. The passing was slick. It was accurate, and the finish was, well, it looked prolific with precision and accuracy, and that's what I call a great goal. He knew exactly what he was doing with it. So well done, Strelick, getting a goal in his opening game for Middlesbrough. Yeah, but he looks as if he's going to be a handful. He looks strong as an ox. He's fairly pacey, and obviously he's got an eye for goal. But it was another magnificent display. Well, not magnificent display, but second half we were up for it, and they had a couple of chances, don't get me wrong, but I thought we deserved the victory. And as I say, the second goal was, I'll use Steve McLaren terminology, magnificent. Just the passing, the movement, just zipping it around, you know, not playing slow laboured passes. We were zipping it around, and they were chasing shadows on occasion. Don't forget, West Brom's a half-decent team. So, yeah. So get in touch with us. Let us know what you thought last night. I know it's an awkward time. There's games on, and there's games on later. That's why I put it at this time. Come on, what else are you doing? It's raining. We're Borough fans. We talk about the Borough. Forget the other games in the Premier League and whatever. The team, obviously you'll know the team. I'll just go through the team again. I've written it down. Saul Bryn. I thought Bryn was very good for the majority. I think he probably would hold up his hand for the goal, because he hesitated, didn't quite get on the end of it. So that was disappointing. And then the rest of them, Jones, Edmondson and Ayling. Edmondson injured, that's another centre-half injured, that's a big blow. But Jones, Edmondson and Ayling were the 3 centre-backs. Taggart on the left, Britton on the right, Morris, Hackney central. They're striking up a great partnership. Nipan for Man City, he showed again last night the flair and the movement. He's nimble, light-footed, he likes a shot, creative. And obviously Conway worked his backside off yet again, had a major hand in the second goal, as I mentioned, and Strelick up front. As I say, he wasn't greatly involved, but when you're not involved as a striker, if you ask me as a striker, when I was in my Middlesbrough days, my pomp, do I want to play brilliant or score goals? I want to score goals. And Strelick got the all-important goal. There was a host of people in the box. It was fairly, there were just loads of bodies in it, and he got on the end of it. Middle of the goal, thank you very much. On the bench was Whittaker. I have to say, after the last week's game, when Whittaker was getting a wee bit of stick, well, according to the manager, or the coach, Rob Edwards, says, look, you know, get behind him. He's doing well. The team's doing well. As I say, I'm not here to brainwash and say, oh, come on, you have to cheer everything that goes on. And no, I get it, but I don't get it during the game, because if a player's having a bad time or struggling, to boo him and get on his case does not lift morale. And anyway, the boy came off the bench last night, second half, and they give him a big cheer. So obviously they've listened to a bit of what Rob Edwards is saying, and that's admirable. Brown as well, he came off the bench. Seni, Silvera, Kante, There was Berzog, Hansen, Banguera and McLaughlin. That was all the subs. So the team was Bryn, Jones, Edmondson, Ayling, Target and Britton in the wing-back positions, Morris, Hackney, Nepan, Conway and Strelick. On the bench was Whitaker, Brown, Senny, Silvera, Canty, Berzog, Hansen, Banguera and McLaughlin. So 6 games unbeaten. Who would have believed that? Be honest. If you believed it, that we were going to have an unbelievable start like this, well, let us know. I don't think there'll be anybody, surely. Unless you're telling Porky Pies and you've got a nose bigger than Pinocchio. But it got me thinking. I know we look forward and that's what it's all about, but it got me thinking. I remember Bruce Rear telling us we'd go X amount of games unbeaten and then we would lose a game and he would say, right, let's beat that run. Well, I looked at it today because I didn't know. I knew we had a good run or two, but I didn't know exactly how many games. Back in 87, we had 15 games without defeat under Bruce Rear. Can this team equal it, better it? Why not? Why not? They're in the pomp at the minute. Their confidence is sky high. They're all playing for each other. They're all smiling. They look as if they're enjoying the game of football. So why not? Mark Smith says, good evening, Bernie. Great result and performance. We had a bit of everything. First goal, as good old long throw, and yeah, it was. It reminded me of the Ryan Shotton days, Mark, when yeah, you remember Ryan Shotton when Tony Pulis was in charge? I used to coach the kids back then, and I used to go talking about certain, yes, passing the ball inside the foot and that, and the kids would go, no, what about, can we do the throwing? That's all they picked up. But the first goal, good long throw in, flick on. Second goal was a great team goal. And as I said, Mark, at the top, I didn't realise how good a goal it was till I watched it today. 12 passes, 12 touches. And it was 1 and 2 touch. Up until he got to Conway, he maybe took 3, played it, and Hackney just flicked it outside his boot into the path of Senna. And what a finish. It was a great finish. Side foot, accurate, precision, power, brilliant. Conway's work rate was fantastic, always is. Ayling, outstanding all night. Thanks to Claire for the new signs. Yes, Smith and Friends estate agent. This is Mark Smith. And highlight, yeah, you're right, Mark. Better. Nothing to do with me. Hiya, Bernie. Lynn Shoes. Hiya, Lynn. Come on, Lynn. Tell us what you thought of last night's game. Borough fans, come on. I know it's an awkward time because there's games on now, but we're Borough fans. Let's talk about the Borough. Praise your team. Praise Rob Edwards. And what do you think of the new signings? Strelick up front, Nepan. And the second goal, it must be as good as you've seen. Colin Everton says, what a thoroughly enjoyable season already. For once, I'm excited for the next game. Awesome, entertainment, resolute, skill, well balanced and drilled. We look like scoring all the time. It's brilliant. Well, Colin, I don't think there's anybody, as I say, I'm a level-headed guy where I played, and now it has been brilliant. I'm not saying every game's been magnificent, but brilliant. Yeah, grinding out results. Last week we grabbed a great point. 5 wins, top of the league. We're still top. Stoke got done today, didn't they? But we were going to be top no matter how the other results went. But it's refreshing. It's exciting. There's more intent now, closing down, harassing, in the faces of the opposition. I don't think we should underestimate the spirit of the group. This is from Matt Watts. The manager has alluded to it, and so did Ayling. What does that do when everybody has the right spirit? Must be some of Bruce's babes, referring to Bruce Rear. Mark, I think it's essential. To be successful, you have to be together as a group. Off and on the park, need a bit of fun, bit of banter, enjoy each other's company, off the field, on the field. I think it's paramount. You know, if there's 1 or 2 bad apples in the dressing room, we can get to players. I mean, I'm not in the dressing room, but what I see when I see it out in the pitch, I just think they look as if they're enjoying it. Last season, I've hit a patch where the players looked as if they were not enjoying it, struggling to a degree. Maybe not happy with the way we were told to mess about the back and play the old kamikaze football. I don't know. Only players could answer that. Andy says, evening Bernie, evening Andy. Rob Edwards has the ground bouncing, strength and depth. I don't even want Rob Edwards. I didn't want even want Rob Edwards. I didn't. He wasn't in my list. He was in the bottom 2 and was totally uninspired. But by God, how wrong I am. Well, the thing is, I'm not wanting to throw to to calm your opinions down. It's great. We've done magnificent. But just remember, and I do, and if I was in the team now, I'd still be thinking like this. There's still 40 games to go. I've got another centre-half injured. That's 3 centre-halves injured. I still don't get the injuries. How, last night I think was it his eye. I didn't see it up close. I'm sure it was his eye, and we wish him a speedy recovery. The lad said he's been through the mill recent years. But other centre-halves injured. Last year there was 4 or 5. This season already, 3 injured. What is going on? Edmondson, Lenihan, Fry. Centre-halves were never injured. It was always the centre-forwards or the wingers or the wispy players that get booted up in the air. Excuse me. Martin Johnson said, yeah, so deserves applaud. It's the big man. He's done brilliant. Long may it continue. And you just never know. Second goal, great build-up play and cracking finish. Ayling, outstanding. As I say, I don't mean to, take away what they're achieving, but 3 centre-backs against 1 centre-forward should be good. I mean, Ayling went through amazing. It was amazing. He ran by about 2 or 3 players. They became statuesque. He got a bust of pastry somewhere. This is late in the game. Don't forget, he's a fair age, Ayling. And he's a great professional. He's had a great career. But he just took off and started beating a couple of men. I think he shot, didn't he? I bet he'd been off target, but brilliant. Fantastic. Andy Appleyard, you're not on your own, Andy. I was the same. So people more or less admitting that they didn't want Rob Edwards. Yeah, but that's one of the beauties. You might not want somebody, but we say for the off, we're going to get behind them. And everybody has got behind them. And I agree with the words in the rhetoric, the ground's bouncing. It is bouncing. I go to the games and I think, we're going to put on a shift tonight. We're going to put on a show. We're not going to mess about, blow the pants off the fans and the team. We're going to have a go. And that's what you want. I remember back in the day when Jim Platt and David Hodgson played. Was that, you should put paid as played, they never paid. Strength and depth all over the pitch, but I worry about centre-halves. The centre-halves is, as I say, since I started this, when the winter comes in, there's injuries, but not just the winter, but there's injuries, loss of form, red and yellow cards, suspensions, you're out of sync. 1 or 2, only takes 1 or 2 to upset the rhythm of the team. And it can be detrimental. And well, let's hope that doesn't happen. But right away, as I mentioned, and you're mentioning, 3 central defenders injured already. We're only 6 games in. It's incredible. Ayling much better than last week. This is from Paul Gamble. Just concerned about the defence with injuries. Hopefully not out too long. Big test next 2 games. Hoping Azaz doesn't haunt us next week. Happy with a draw and a win against Stoke. Oh, I'm sure we would be. Keep the unbeaten run going. Azaz, I don't know how well he's did down there. I don't know if, I think were they drawing when I listened earlier on. But come on, we keep saying Southampton, some of my mates, it's the toughest test ever. How do you make that out? The bottom half of the table, aren't they? They've not a great start. I know they were tipped at the start, they're going to be up there, thereabouts, but it's not materialising. There's no guarantee it will. Did you get me picture of me and Morrissey on X? Couldn't find the Hadji one up the borough. Graham McTiernan. The picture of me and you and Morrissey. No, Graham, I'll have a look after this. David Whittaker says, what do you think about the early tactical substitutions being straight off half time? I think there was a wee patch before he scored. I tend to look at other players off the ball as well. A lot of just focus on the ball where it goes. Sometimes I have a wee look where certain players are. And there was a wee patch where I seen Strellick and I thought, he's not moving as freely as I seen him last week when he came off the bench. He seemed to have slowed down. Then he get the goal, then he get the hook. I think it's more a precaution. I don't think, probably just a slight, I don't know, calf strain, something like that. I think it's more protecting him. And I think it was, yeah. As for the substitutions, the big man doesn't hesitate, Rob Edwards. I like that. The who hesitates is lost. Like a centre forward goes through and goal, you go, will I put it right? Will I put it left? Will I chip him? Well, the time your thoughts are over, the ball's gone. Rob Edwards goes, right, don't like that, get him off. Yeah, get him on. And he's been very effective when it comes to substitutes. Michael Carrick was heavily criticised for dilly-dallying, messing about late on, huffing and puffing, no really, this guy's no messing about. It's so refreshing seeing Rob Edwards make a change at half time. In opposition, proactive rather than reactive, which has always seemed to be Michael Carrick. Southampton lost 3-1. Wow, 3-1. So there you are then. Why are we frightened to go? Well, not frightened, but why are we all saying that's the toughest test? Southampton. The bottom half of the table, they'll get done today 3-1. Matt's kept me up to speed there. Fullback says Hull 3, Southampton 1. What's to worry about? No, we can't. The last thing we want to get is let our egos take control and go out with the swagger and we just have to turn up and we're going to turn them over. That's not the way to operate. You go out every game. We are a target now because we're top of the league. People are seeing this. Last night was all, I mean, people watch it on the telly every week, but last night it was on Sky. Loads of people have got that. Those football purists would have watched it and thought, do you know what? They have a decent team, them. What a great second goal. And we're a scalp now. People want to beat us. They say, Middlesbrough top of the league, let's go out and beat them. It's like that. You know, if you rewind when we played the top flight, you play Man United, we don't want to beat with them. We want to beat Man United, they're top of the league. So I get it. And players should be up for every game and don't take anything for granted, because once you start thinking you're the bees and E's and you're the business and the best team in the league, that's when the wheels come off. You get the swagger, the big time Charlies. Hopefully that doesn't happen. I don't know, but looking at the lads, it doesn't look as if there's any pig-headed players. There wasn't my day. You know, don't forget, we went third, second, first, 15 games without defeat. I mentioned we got 2 promotions, 3 promotions. I never seen any big time. We wouldn't tolerate it. We'd not soon knock them down. Sheffield United 0, Charlton 1. Welcome back, Wilder. Oh, a wee bit of sarcasm there, Phil. I cannot believe Wilder. I thought he had morals and principles. And I thought he'd say, do you know what? You can shove it right up your jacks. I ain't returning. You've just sacked me. Now you've had a nightmare and you've employed somebody that's not up to the job, and now you want me back. You can go and sling your hook. Somebody says, oh, but money talks. Well, I'm sure Wilder's loaded as it is. He's had enough jobs and lost enough jobs to get plenty of money, payoffs, and getting money at the next club he joins. And he wouldn't have been out for long, let's be honest. So, yeah, I was very surprised that he went there. I don't worry about who we are playing. This is for Adrian Patterson. Let them worry about playing us. No one will want to play us at the moment. The thing is, we're not an out-and-out physical team. The thing we've got at the minute, we've got a good balance now. We've got a good mixture of experience and youth, and we've got a bit of pace. And for me, that's the recipe for doing well this season. No, we've got the Taggarts, we've got the lad for Sunderland at Brown, we've got Ayling, you know, Strelic, he's an international player. We've got a big experience, then we've got younger lads and the 2 boys in midfield again. Morris, who was one, Morris has been my player of the season up to now, early doors, 40 games to go. But last night he did hit 1 ball, which we hate. It was a poor ball, right through the middle, get caught, could have been costly. We got away with it. Jones, Britton and Taggart have been great defensive signings. Well, so far, so good. Obviously, a long way to go. You can't judge anybody in a handful of games. It has to be 12, 14 and then the season. You know, and I hope the players that played last season are looking for a better season this season and aim high and have goals. You know, my came to Middlesbrough, my goals were I wanted to play full-time football, which I achieved. I wanted to play in the top flight, I achieved. This is all with Middlesbrough. I wanted to play at Wembley, I achieved. And international football. And that was all through Middlesbrough Football Club. Why can't these guys do the same? You know, they're non-international, why can't they get a cap? Why can't we progress into the top flight? Borough started great. I'm loving it. Michael Joplin, he's buzzing. Tommy Conway put a proper shift in for Matt Watts. Seems that the way be a striker, if already 9 different goal scorers. I know you don't seem to like that. No, Mark, I love goals getting shared around, but there has to be one guy, in my opinion, and I'm sure the lads looked at me at that. Strelic last night never got a kick. I played many games like that, but the team knew, my teammates knew, and Reyes knew. He doesn't have to have a kick. He can have a nightmare, but he'll score the winner, or possibly score the winner. So they could hang your hat on. Now, I still think we need one guy who's going to score goals, who we can hang my hat on when we're against the tide and we're out of sync. We need one guy that the team can look to and say, hey, he'll get us a goal tonight. At the minute, Strelic could be the man. I don't think he's going to Conway because I think he works too hard. And the time the ball's fizzed in, he's blown at his backside. And that's natural because I don't know how many miles he runs a game. I'd like to see the stats, how many miles he runs. But if I'm a striker, back then and now, I want to count my goals. I don't want to count my money. I don't want to count how many runs I went. I want to count my goals. If you're a striker and you class yourself as a striker, you need to score goals. Great to see you last night and a great result, Andrew Hunt. We have a good squad. We need to ensure we capitalise on this good start and performance up the borough. And you, Andrew, good seeing you. Russell Jameson says, I really can't see who's going to beat us in the league. Looking at the results over the past weeks, if we can get our centre-backs fit, well, there's 3 out at the minute, I really can't see who's going to beat us. Yeah, at the minute, I'd probably think the same as you, but you know, it's inevitably we're going to get beaten. Unless we're going to be, I've said this a few times, Arsene Wenger, you know, went through the whole season, never got beaten when he was at the Arsenal, but that was Arsenal. Loads of money, loads of international class players. Some of them had won World Cups, whatever. That's a different ball game. But could we get through a season and not get beat any games? We could. Do you think it will happen? No, I don't think so. I think we're in great form. But by God, you need to be unbelievable form to achieve that. The Invincibles, weren't they? So really can't see. This will give me time to. So keep them coming in, and yeah. So I'll read some of these because I never read these. So John says, great to see Strelic getting a debut goal, Bernie, although he wasn't really in the game and get taken off. Now I don't know the reason he get taken off, but I take it probably. Legs have tightened up, maybe a wee strain, but he scored the goal, the all-important goal to break our duck on the night. So well done to him. Liam says 6 games in, 5 wins and a draw. Am I dreaming? Oh, no, you're not. You're not dreaming, Liam. George says, Bernie, what has changed from last season? What has changed? New coaching staff, new tactics, better recruitment, that's essential. Don't play kamikaze football. So there's a host of things. I don't think it's 1 or 2. I think it's a culmination of things. The tactics is definitely one of them. You know, I asked a question last night to Archie Stevens and Terry Cochrane. If you don't know them, younger viewers, Terry Cochrane played for Middlesbrough, a winger, dropped the socks, didn't wear shin pads. Before I came, scored an overhead kick. Was it Wrexham? It was a brilliant goal. You see it on YouTube. Scored against England at Wembley for Northern Ireland. So I was talking to him. Archie Stevens played alongside me. Tough, great in the air, hovered like a kestrel, tough as anything. But when I look at their careers and look at the modern game, we don't play wingers. We play wing backs. So Terry Cochrane's, what he did back then would maybe be phased out. Archie Stevens, there's no out-and-out centre forward who just stands there, does it like Conway runs his backside off here, there and everywhere. Some people say headless chicken, but it's important to the team. Closing down, harassing, in the faces. Archie would stay central. That was your focal point. Hit Archie, he would hold it up or win it in the air and you would feed off him. So a lot of things have changed. I'm going to go there and then I'll come back to this. Good to see Mugger looking well as a pundit. Yeah, Keith Short this is. Mugger says he looks at the squad and thinks who is going to score you 80 goals across the squad. Great start, 1 game at a time, but Borough shouldn't fear anyone in the league. It's going to be wide open. No one is going to run away with it. Well, Mugger, I was with Tony Mowbray. So again, the younger listeners or viewers, Tony Mowbray, centre-half when I played. Bruce Rake, the then manager, says it would take Mugger to the moon because he absolutely loved him, adored him. I'm still questioning, is that Bruce's, is Mugger Bruce's son? I asked him that on Friday night in front of 250 people. No, seriously, Tony Mowbray, great leader, great passion. Obviously, he was hard done by at Sunderland. The director of football, more or less, he was partly to blame for his departure, and then he goes to West Brom. But he told us a story, West Brom. I'm not speaking out of, I don't tell if somebody tells me something, says don't say it. But Mugger says this in front of X amount of people on Friday night at the University of Middlesbrough. When he was at West Brom, the second time round, short-lived, he's there, plays on the Saturday, comes into the dressing room the Monday, unknown to him, they've sold the goalkeeper, and he walks in the dressing room the Monday, and there's a face there he doesn't recognise. And he says, "Good morning, mate, who are you?" And the lad goes, "I'm a goalkeeper." And he says, "Well," no, he says, "What position? Who are you?" He says, "I'm the new signing." He says, "What position?" He says, "Goalkeeper." Nobody had the manners or the audacity, well, the manners, to say, "Mugger, we're getting a new, we're letting that keeper go, we're bringing a new one in, you'll be in on Monday, so that if you see a new face," didn't tell him that. How embarrassing is that? That's awful. Luke Ayling really had a great game for Borough along with Morris and Conway Burney. Without a doubt. Without a doubt. We all pulled we all helped each other last night throughout the duration of the game. The substitutes. Last season I thought subs light bench, immature bench, some came on and didn't make any impact. These guys are coming on making an impact, and I think that's very important. Hi Benny, what's your view on the referee? I thought he did a good job, but behind me, they were going on about how bad he was. Do you know what, David? I mean this. I never focus on the referee. In my career, I think I got a couple of years at Middlesbrough, one red in my career, and that was at Port Vale. But I never focus on referees. When I'm watching a Borough game, I'll look at the play or how we're playing and the chances we create. And if we miss chances, I'd blame them. The referee can't score a goal. We can. So it's up to us to put the ball in the opposing net. But referees, I'll be honest, he didn't stick out last night, but I thought he's having a mare. I don't really look at the referees. So that's my taking it. So where are we here? Hi, Ben. What should we do? Rod, wait. Hi, Rod. Hi, Bernie. Great result again. Much more resilient, the Borough, than last season. Really enjoying the start. Wonderful second goal. Spurs, Rod. Rod, how's the Spurs doing at the minute? I heard they were getting beat 2-1 when I come on here. They're getting done 2-1. Hope they've won. I like Spurs, but I like Big Ange. They were winning when I come on here. Trevor Chavel says it's nice to see the manager on the touchline shouting and instructing the players, instead stood with his hand folded like Carrick. Why does he keep changing the captaincy? Hackney had it, who was on the pitch last night, but Ayling had it last night. When Fry is fit, should give it back to him. But he's injury prone. Well, maybe that's the reason they keep chopping and changing it. Maybe Hackney, I thought Hackney last season was captain. I thought that was probably weighing him down. I know that you think, what are you on about? It's an armband, doesn't weigh you down. Yeah, because Hackney is still relatively young. He's not like Ayling. Ayling's 36, 37, whatever he is. Vastly experienced, hundreds of games under his belt, not shy. Maybe Hackney doesn't like that responsibility. As I say, I remember I was at Albion Rovers, I was banging in the goals for fun. They made me captain. 3 weeks later, the lads went, "No, we don't want him captain." They voted me out. Was I offended? Of course I wasn't. It was the right decision. So where are we now? Trevor Chavel. It's nice to see them. I mentioned that, didn't I? Sorry. Matt Watts says, positive. We are well above 2 points a game average. Is there any squad in the Championship to fear? Because what I've seen, it's nobody. Seen in 10 games time, I suppose. Oh, and well, Silvera did well. I think he still looks iffy at wing back defensively. Well, Mark, I says this at the start. Where some people were raving about, "Oh, Silvera, he's a kiddie. He's going to be a star this season," and he might be, but he's not a star at the minute. Pre-season games don't count. But he scored 20 goals in pre-season. They're taking off. They don't mean anything. They're kid-on games. And Silvera was shining. People were raving about him. And I says, hang fire. He's been here a year and a half. He's not just walked in the door, you know. He's been here a year and a half. There's no doubt he's got skill and ability, but never really set the head of the light last night when he came off the bench. I don't think he's tough enough. That wing back role, you still have to defend. You always have to get back and you have to maybe clatter a few opponents. I don't think that's his style. Graham Madison said, Britain was my man of the match. Bernie had a fine game as well. Thought he had a great game. Strelly had 4 touches in the first half at the game. 1 chance and they took it. Graham, I used to have that thrown at me. Slivers Gabby's last night, 2 touches, he scored 2. Well, is that not what the game's about? Put the ball in the net. As I say, if you ask me every week, would you rather score or would you rather play well? I'd rather score. want to play well as well and be involved. But if you're not and you get the goals, it doesn't matter, and you won the game. Back in my day, you had to depend on your bonus money. I don't think they bother with that these days, but back then you did. You know, if I didn't get a kick and scored the winner, the lads would get an extra £300 or whatever. Happy days for everybody. I'm sure it doesn't enter the minds of the players now, but back then it did. I used to remember players saying, hey, £300, how good is that? Because they needed it. They weren't on great wages, like now. I mean, average players now are picking up 30 grand a week. I keep coming back to a somber longer, dear me. I think his was 30 plus. Anyway, if you've been in Turkey recently, is he still over there selling kebabs? Andrew Leahy says, he says he wants to share the armband responsibility depending on who deserves it in training and attitude. Well, look, who am I to criticise or who am I to even get in a debate? It's working. Whatever Rob Edwards is doing, everything he's doing, everything he's touching is turning to gold. It's the best start we've had, almost the best start in the history of the club if we'd have won last week against Preston. So if he wants to do it, let him do it. Nope, you shouldn't be questioning it. When the wheels come off or things go against us and it's not happening, then it's time to question and say, well, why is he messing that about and why is he messing that formation? My one question about Rob would be now, if we inevitably we're going to lose a game throughout the course of the season, you would think the odds are stacked against you lose a game. If we lose a game or two, is Rob going to stick to the same tactics? Is he going to change it? We've all given credit for the subs, but if it wasn't happening and Rob just sticks to the three at the back, I think there'd be a bit of criticism coming his way. You know, how many managers in the modern game stick to Big Ange he just keeps playing the same way? Heavily criticised, but doesn't he budge on it? Carrick never budged on it. The fanning about the back, we continue to do it all last season, pulled the pants off everybody. So whatever Rob Edwards is doing at the minute, yeah, get on with it, Rob. You're doing a great job. And again, looking at Rob Edwards, I don't listen to interviews, but I seen a clip of him last night when I was in the lounge. I host the Legends Lounge every home game, and I looked at him, and the smiley face, radiant, you know, and his big smile, and he's out there giving it out to the fans. Carrick did that as well, but I think this guy's just got a bit more bite, bit more passion, really, really shows his emotion, whereas Carrick was more subdued, if you like. I've no doubt Carrick's a great guy. I've always said I like him. I don't know him personally, but I hear he's a great guy and he was a great player, but just different makeup. But as I say, the real characters of the team and Rob Edwards and co and the coaching staff will come when things go wrong. With 40 games, I know you can say, oh, you're being... No, I'm not being negative, I'm being realist. There's 40 games left. There's a long, long way to go. Keep your powder dry. Everybody deserves credit. Absolutely magnificent. Everybody's buzzing. Everybody's enjoying going back to the game. And yeah, so it's a long way to continue. Andy Appleyard says, hand in hat, Bernie. There's my hat. As far as I know, some people say I've not got a hat. Do you think Borough will go up this year? What's your gut feeling seeing the first few weeks? Well, as I say, 40 games to go. So what do you think? Well, if I was a betting man, which I'm not, I wouldn't put any money on anything or anybody at the minute because there's 40 games to go. There is a lad, Chris McGlade. He's on his way to London. He's a comedian, very funny one, very, very gifted, talented. He's opinionated. That's why he's not on the telly every week. And I admire that because he's his own man. But he texted me today and he went, year of little faith. You says 2 weeks before the season that that we were going to be mid-table. And I reminded him, I texted him back and said, no. There was 2 weeks to go in the window. And we still hadn't... We brought about 5-6 players in the last 2 weeks. Then the dynamics changed. My opinion changed. You had to wait to the window. Okay, if we sat here and you say, are we as good as anybody? I've watched championship games this season on the telly. I've been at I watch every Borough game. I go to every home game, watch the away games on telly. Have I seen anybody better than us? No. Are we as good as anybody? Without a doubt. Without a shadow of a doubt. Have we a big squad? Definitely. Are we good enough? Yeah, as I said 10 minutes ago, we have got a squad now that's confident because we're winning, and that confidence bleeds right through the squad. We've got a couple of 2 or 3 goals scored, or centre forwards now, which we didn't have. For last January, we'd one centre forward. That was ridiculous, ludicrous. You know, talking about director of football, and well done to him for his recruitment in the summer. Must be hard work. It's easy talking about it. Going and doing it must be difficult. And he'd done interviews recently. I heard. I didn't listen to it, but I heard that he did an interview or a few interviews. He didn't do one in January. Why? Because it was embarrassing. Ian Ashell, hopeless, as I say, at Celtic. Shows you how much they're struggling financially. Giles can't defend, couldn't defend. We brought him back. It was lazy recruitment. So there was about 3-4 duff signings last January. This season, the director of football, along with the football club, deserve the plaudits, and so far they've got it right. But the dynamics, so as it stands at the minute, not being a betting man, I wouldn't put my money in anybody or anything at the minute. Because January, okay then. So if I sit here and go, well, the window's closed, what we've got, we're going to go up. And then we get 7 injuries. Touch wood, that doesn't happen. We get injuries galore. Few people off form. Few people go away. Well, you know what, McGree, where's McGree? Still not seen him. What is his injury? Where is he? Is he still here? Is he going back to Australia? I find that farcical. I only watch social network. I don't read newspapers, but where is he? You know, and that could happen to 2 or 3 players. It happened last year. Players were getting injured 10 a penny, and everybody was saying, what's happened to them? How did they get injured? Well, it wasn't in games. It must have been at training. So things like that. And then when you come January, if we sell 1 or 2 of the big hitters, if we're right up the top, that could affect us and affect the promotion push. With what we've got, do I think we'll finish top 6? Yes. Yes. Last season I got it right. I says no. I do think we are good enough for top 6, but if we were to sell 1 or 2 in January, that could dent the ambitions. So it's all pie in the sky. It's all guess what. We don't know what's going to happen, but we're in a great position and a great start. He strikes me as someone who drills movement religiously into the lads all week. That's for Andy Lay. Is it Lay? The movement's good, but if you've not watched the second goal, watch it. As I say, I'm at the game live last night. Things happen really quickly, and you're talking and you're looking, and it was a great goal, but I didn't realise how great it was. You watch it. Starts on the right-hand side, 12 passes later, Senny gets it. There's a play in front of him, and he actually cut, so they can't really see because the man's here in front of him, and he kills it bottom right-hand corner. For me, it's precision, it's accuracy, it's hit with an authority that he's saying, I'm going to put that in. That's what I call a great goal. You know, if your last one 25 yards, yeah, you're home to hit the target. If it goes top corner, you think, if I did that another 99 times, it would probably hit a pigeon off the stand. But these ones, you know exactly where they're going and what they mean. And he did it. But it was just a great, great goal. James McDermott, very big decision to take straight off half time. As I say, I don't know. I didn't hear any interviews afterwards. I came home, went straight in my bed. Was he injured? Is there a problem? Or is he just feeling fatigued? Obviously, the manager got that one right. But what's your thoughts on taking striker off who scored? I don't like strikers. If you scored a goal, stay on. Get another one. I mean, so I think it's more to do with his fitness levels. I'm not saying he's no fit, but first game takes a lot out of you. You know, new stadium, new fans, new surroundings. Maybe just, played on him a bit, and maybe the coach has seen that and thought, you know what, well done, you've got us a goal, you've got us in the lead. Come off, take a wee rest, so you're back in on Saturday. I've no doubt he'll be back against Southampton. So taking strikers off when they're doing well and scoring goals, I'm not a fan of that. But the strength and roll that we have, one up front, the players must be knackered. Strelic ran about. Nobody's really watching him because he wasn't on the ball, but he's working his backside off. He's making runs and he's not getting the ball. He might have blown a gasket. Conway seems to get taken off every game now because he's giving it his all, leaving everything out in the park, and then he's getting the hook. So that's the role of the centre forward. Let's flip it. Could you imagine us playing with 1 centre back and playing with 3 centre forwards? How good would that be? How many goals would we get? No, seriously. I always think 3 centre backs against 1 centre forward. And then when you get one centre forward, you're against 3 centre backs. Who's got the hardest job there? Think about it. Digest that. Right? So the centre forwards are Middlesbrough, Conway, Australia, on their own, play against 3 hairy-ass centre backs. Another guy, it's just, yeah, I just think that 1 against 3, the 3 should come out on top every day of the week. It's not always the case, but in the main, it should. The odds are stacked against the centre forward, unless the midfielders are really bombing at every opportunity to get in there and they're scoring goals as well. But that lone furrow, I admire it with the work rate, but I don't admire it. Would I like to play that role? No chance. No chance. I want to score goals. I don't want to, at the end of my career, sit down and go, oh, I ran 200 mile that season. No. It's not just for the team. Scoring goals is for the team. And that's memorable. The mileage isn't. So where are we? Very big decision. So we mentioned that. Scott said that in January, Recruitment wanted Strelic, but Carrick wanted the Iheanacho. Do I believe that? No. No. Same with Giles. Carrick was adamant he wanted. Listen, let me tell you, right? When I hear all this stuff, and that's your opinion, and you've heard it for the horse's mouth, but is Carrick spoken yet? No. Why? Because we're getting paid up. When you leave a football club, Middlesbrough or any club in the country, you need to sign a document saying you will say nothing negligent towards the club you've left, because you're getting paid off and you're getting paid up. Okay, then I'll tell you. Many years ago, was it Alves? The chief executive at the time, God rest him, he says that Gareth Southgate wanted Alves. I'm sure it was Alves. I'll be corrected if I wanted Alves. Gareth Southgate stayed stump, I think, for a year because we're getting paid up. Then Gareth Southgate says, I knew nothing about it. So ask Carrick. People think, oh, he just goes away. Ask Carrick in a year's time when he's paid every penny he's owed and see if he tells the truth. It's easy blaming somebody when they've gone and they've signed a clause saying that you're saying nothing. It happens. You sign these clauses. I had one at the radio. I was with Real Radio. We were on the biggest show in the Northeast for 12 years. We did 3,000 shows, 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock every night. Brilliant. And then all of a sudden at the Blue, they says, oh, you're getting sacked. It's because there was a new company, Heart FM, taking over. So they says, we're obviously, we're getting rid of the show. We're not doing football. And I don't know. I don't listen to Heart, but I'm sure they don't even do football now. But they says, although we're going to stopping the show and not doing football, we're just going to keep playing music now. We're going to give you a 3-month silence clause. And I says, you can shove that right up your ass. And Malcolm and, was it Mickey Hospital at the time? Katie said, gone. Oh, come on, none. I says, no, I'm out of here. And I left. And I spoke the week after. I did a big bit in the Evening Gazette, local rag. I was doing a column in there. Still never thanked for all those years that I donated to the cause of the Gazette. But yeah, so I went on, did the bit in the Gazette, and I lost my 3 months' money. But I knew that was going to happen. But if they're telling me that I'm not wanted, who are they to say I can't say anything against them? I would swear on here, but I don't want to be kids watching. So don't kid yourself. Kieran Scott, I don't know him for Adam. I know who he is, but I don't know him for Adam. I'm not against him. It's a difficult job he's got. This window, he seems to have done really, really well with the amount of players. Still to prove how good they are, but 1 or 2 are really shining at the minute. But in January, it was hopeless. So, you know, if good, bad, and different, you face the music. You go on radios, you go in front of the media. But anyway, if he's saying Carrick, okay then, why is he even blaming Carrick? Why is he not kept that within and just thought, do you know what, I'm not going to say anything. It's all of us that's in it. The directors of football control everything at the football club. Tony Mowbray is my pal. Tony Mowbray is a modern day manager. Tony Mowbray was at Sunderland. He's been at Celtic. He's been at Hibernian. He's been at Ipswich. He's been at Middlesbrough. Do you not think we talk? This is modern day guys now. Not guys that managed and coached 30 years ago. This is here now. The director of football, your man at Sunderland, yeah, he might have it right now. They're in the Premier League and everything's hunky-dory, but yeah, I just think directors of football, Wilder didn't tolerate it at Middlesbrough. Wilder and Warnock didn't tolerate it. and eventually they got the sack. People say, oh, well, why is that? Well, the results weren't going well. But if you're giving them duds or guys that they don't fancy and don't want, it's causing unnecessary clashes. Whereas this big guy, Rob Edwards, already knows Kieran Scott, I presume. That's been documented. So maybe Rob Edwards is a cooler guy, a cooler customer and buys into it. I couldn't buy into that. You give me donkeys, I'm taking the stick and the flack. Everybody's wanting my head, and you're getting away scot-free. There's not even a pun in there. But anyway, well done to Kieran Scott. He's had a great, so far, great summer. Great summer. Has it always been good? Of course it's not. Are we really worried about Southampton next week? Let's be Chris Libby. They get tanked at Hull today. They did. We mentioned that. Somebody brought us up to speed. They are definitely there for the team, without a doubt. So you get done today. Why can't we do them 3? Strelic took off for tactical reasons. He says he wanted a bit more energy up front. Well, that's fair enough, but energy. So if you need more energy and his legs are fading and maybe a bit of fatigue, why not? You might have said to the lad, how you feeling a bit heavy, right? Okay, we'll take you off, big man. It's no problem. How good can this Napan be? He looks a proper baller. Chris, as I say, he's loaded with ability. He's nimble. He's got vision. He likes a shot. Creative. Unfortunately, he's not a player and probably never will be a player, but we need to enjoy him while he's here. Obviously, those that don't know, he's at Man City, and he's obviously loaned out to us to play his trade, learn his trade, and so far, so good. I'm going to get carried away right now because he's only played a couple of games, or last night he played, cameo appearance the week before. And how good Napan, when he fully settles in, looks like the shades of Janino. Well, do you know what? Yeah, that's your opinion, and I respect that. He's very good. But I tell you what, there was a lad, and I mentioned the word Janino, but it wasn't a Middlesbrough player. There was a lad that was built like a lat, came off the bench for them on the right-hand side, inside right. Don't know his name, didn't have a team sheet, never get a team sheet. And he came on, and the wind was blowing him, but he was nutmegging, he was flicking it, he was beating 2 and 3 players, dropping the shoulder. I thought, he reminds me of Janino, that kid. So you thought Janino on the night, and so did I, but unfortunately, mine was opposition player and yours was a butter player. I'll read some of these as well. We're getting on. So where are we? Burnley, what has changed last season? I mentioned that. Tommy, Napan looks the part. What's your thoughts? Well, I've mentioned it, Tommy. Direct, skillful, he's creative, nimble, confident. Confidence is a word. Terry says Southampton next week, arguably our toughest test. I mentioned it. I've got done 3-1 with Hull today. The bottom half of the table. Why are we fearing going to Southampton? Big Arch. I know a few Big Archie Stevens. Big Archie the car man. How good has Saul Bryn been this season? Saul Bryn's been excellent. Gets the ball. I'm not goalkeeping expert, but I get it. When the ball's at the highest peak, that's when you're meant to get it. Once it starts dropping, you're in trouble. The goal, I'm sure Saul would hold his hand up and say, but we got away with it because we won 2-1, 3 points in the board, remain unbeaten. But Saul hesitated. He came, he backtracked, and the ball was in the back of the net before he knew it. He booted the ball into the back of the net in frustration. But hey, all keep him make mistakes, but he's been very, very good this season. And delighted. As I say, I get nothing more of a buzz than seeing local lads doing the business. There's nothing better. Saul Bryn, Hackney. Brilliant. Love to see it. Over the years, we've had Ben Gibson, Robbie Stockdale, Stewie Downing, Adam Johnson. We've had so many great players for this area. And I love nothing better than that. Where are we? Yes, Saul Bryn, sorry. How good is our defence? That's for Rob. Well, I've mentioned him. I've all mentioned it. Look, the defence is getting applauded, and rightly so. What have we let? 4 or 5 goals in 6 games. 5 wins, 1 draw. Deserves the plaudits, but again, I keep saying it. Think about it. 1 against 3. What happens when we go 2? If we do go 2, are we good enough to? Are we going to be as strong as this? We'll find out if we change the tactics. Colin, 6 games without defeat, Bernie. Great going. Can we make a club record of consecutive games? Well, I don't know. I don't know what other teams. I focused on the 86 team because I played in that. I was fortunate enough and honoured enough and privileged to play with guys like Stephen Pears and Tony Mowbray and Pallister and Pattinson, Cooper, Hamilton, Ripley, Brian Laws, Alexis Stevens. Incredible. Gary Gill. Lee Turnbull. I can remember them all. We only had a 13-man squad. I should remember them all. No money, 13-man squad, 15 games, unbeaten. So let this team get to 15 and then we'll talk about and we'll go looking to see if there's any other Borough team win that amount of games without defeat. But 6 games, I mean, this would have been the best start in the club's history if we'd have won last week. But saying that, when we went 2-1 down, I thought, dear, but we showed character and balls and Teesside still to come back and grab a point, and that was brilliant. Last week's point could prove to be a very, very precious point. They were as good as us last week. Well, not in the second half. They scored a goal against the run of play. But top of the league, yeah, who would believe it? Where are we here? Luke Ayling, Tommy Conway. This is for Pamela Turnbull. Hiya, Pamela. Luke Ayling, Tommy Conway were brilliant last night. Went to the game on my own, as usual. And my daughters both have a social life. That's what happens. You get family, they've got a social life. They bomb the parents. I know the feeling. Always meet some amazing people. Young and old. People of Teesside are the friendliest I've ever met. Well done last night. We didn't play our best, but a good one. Talking about playing our best, what about Liverpool? They've hardly hit top gear. They've not been beat yet. They've won every game. It's incredible. It's not about just playing well. It's grinding out results. Trevor says, according to Sky Sports, this after it is a club record, they should be wrong. They could be wrong. So according to Sky Sport this afternoon, it is a club record. What is? Going 6 games without defeat. Is that, did Brian Robson not do that? That would only be, if that was true, and I don't know if it is true, that would be for the start of the season, going 5-6 games unbeaten. The team that Bruce Rioch had, we went 15 games unbeaten, but that wasn't from the start of the season. Steve Daly says, we looked impressive going forward. Hopefully we can keep it up. Stewart is another Bernie Slavin, what we've needed for years. Hopefully he is a Bernie Slavin. Hopefully he's not on the wages of Bernie Slavin. But the thing he's got better than Bernie Slavin is you get muscle. Well, I've got muscles now, but I didn't have any when I played. No, seriously, he looks a character. He looks unfazed. At times he looks unhinged, but he's strong. I say last week he gave Conway a mouthful when he went in a run, didn't get the ball. I like that. I think that's healthy. When he was slapping his face and his chest, I thought, yeah, so he's not shy. You don't go to a new team and give it all that when your teammates are going, what you doing? He doesn't give a flying. So he looks the part, and let's hope he is. Hopefully he bangs in the goals. We've seen Chuba Akpom come alive after 2 years, scored 29, 30 goals, whatever it was. Brilliant. That's what we want. We don't want... Everybody chips in is great, but you need one figurehead who's going to hit goals and get you out of jail when the team's not functioning right. I think that's the difference between getting promoted and not. I really do. Because there is going to be games we're going to huff and puff. It's not happening. It's frustrating. They blocked up the defence. They're playing with 8 centre-backs rather than 3, and it's difficult. They're getting everybody behind the ball, patting the double-decker bus in front of the goal. There's going to be games like that. We'll look to impressive going forward, yeah. Andy Atwater says, can you imagine what your commentary mate, Ali Brownlee, would have been like with this Borough start? League won by Christmas. Turn that up, Andy. We're not going to win it by Christmas. Get away. Ali Brownlee, I believe in heaven. Ali will definitely be in heaven. I think he'll be doing heaven radio. And Ali will be getting carried away. He'll have to throw water on him to calm him down. Oh, Ali will be absolutely buzzing. Ali will be absolutely buzzing. Yeah, I could imagine him. I mean, he was over the top when you get beat. Imagine with 6 games without defeat. 5 wins. Start of the season, Bernard. Sky says, best start to a season in the club's history. I'll bow to your superior knowledge. I heard it was on a par with Brian Robson's, but if we won last week against Preston, that was a club record. That would be the best start ever in the history, the 150-year history of our club. Check it out. I might be wrong, but stats are there to be broken. And if this team can break any records, then good luck to them. In-game management has been spot on. Fair play to the management team. Yeah, each and every one of them, Lee. I don't know any of the coaches personally. I've heard of them. I've read bits about them. But together, collectively, they've all come in. They all trust each other. whatever they're doing is working a treat, and long may it continue. The goalkeeping coach left recently. He was from Michael Carrick days. Am I surprised that? Not really. Maybe this guy wants his own goalkeeping coach. Nothing wrong with that. I don't mean jobs for the boys. I'm not a fan of jobs for the boys. I've seen that happen a lot at Middlesbrough over the years. I'm obviously not one of the boys. No, jobs for the boys. And people used to say that regularly. My job for the boys. He's in again. And he's been at the 3 jobs at Middlesbrough and they've made a job up for this one. And I don't think they're wrong. But I'm a fan of when somebody gets appointed. So if we want Rob Edwards is at his strongest. Where if we want him, and it's time for Edwards to say, do you know what? But I want to clear the decks, bring in all my own men, all my own coaching staff, guys that I trust, not because they're my pals or because I've worked with them in the past and they know how to win games, they know how to improve players, they know how to motivate players, and that's the reason you bring them in, not because of your pals. How good was it? I mentioned that 6 games without defeat, great going. Yeah, can we make it? Yeah, can we make a club record? Of course we can. Juno, I thought it says Janino. Juno says, what is going on with the centre-half injuries? Well, Fry, Lenihan, Edmondson's always injured. 6 games in, majorly disappointing. Last season, the majority of injuries were centre-halves. So I don't know the answer to that. As I say, centre-halves back in the day never got injured. They injured everybody else. Carlos says, good to see the fans getting behind Whittaker last night when he came off the bench. I mentioned that earlier. That was one of the highlights for me. When he comes off the bench, everybody cheered him. You'd obviously listen to Rob Edwards' interview. I didn't hear the interview, but somebody said Rob Edwards says he's been brilliant. He's not been brilliant. Not been brilliant. The lad will know he's not been brilliant. But that doesn't mean you should boo him. But he's still part of a team and a winning team and a team that's doing brilliantly. So, yeah, let's get behind him. Joe said, Rob Edwards on his way to manager a month yet. Again. Well, why not? Louis says, not a Borough fan, or not a Borough thing. Why is this? What do you make of the Raheem Sterling at Chelsea being isolated, training on his own at night? I heard this on national radio. I listen to national radio regular. Late on the night when I'm painting and maybe early morning to wake me up. And I did hear Alan Brazil. Alan Brazil played with Eric Gates. I know Alan. I like Alan. He was a very good footballer. He's got an opinion. He doesn't bow to all the PC lot. I enjoy all that as well. But he was saying that Raheem Sterling, and he'll have it for good authority, Raheem Sterling is isolated for the squad at Chelsea, training on his own at 8 o'clock at night. He's not allowed to eat with the players. So you're asking my thoughts, Louis. I've sampled it. Not training 8 at night, but I've been isolated on 2 occasions when I was at Middlesbrough. First one because of chicken pox. So Bruce Rear says we don't want anybody catching that. So I had to come in late afternoon and train for a week on my own to get over the chicken pox. And that's obviously natural. You don't want to give anybody else it. And then the other one, I was bummed out, Lenny Lawrence. I mean, I've no actually grind with Lenny now. I've moved on and I've spoke to Lenny, did podcasts with Lenny. But Lenny, for whatever reason, isolated me. I ended up training with my book boy. Don't forget, I was loyal, successful at Middlesbrough, still banging in the goals, still as fit as anybody. But because I had an opinion and wasn't shy, isolated me. I ended up training at Wilton, surrounded with smog and chemicals and poison air with my book boy, and training in Stuart's Park on my own. I remember appearing in the Gazette, running up and down the hills. And it wasn't nice. I mean, these days about all the mental health, mental health, and this and that. And I'm all for that and supporting that. But I don't think I'd be doing Raheem Sterling. I know his bank account's fine. He's reportedly on over 300 grand a week. But does he deserve to be treated like a leper and isolated and bombed? The bomb squad? Not for me. There's better ways of doing it. Bernie, what a start to the season with Matt Wilson. Sorry, I'll go back. I'll go to Steve Daly and then I'll go on to Mark. All the new recruits look good, settling in quickly. Team look confident. Well, should be confident. Scotty Sesser did a great job in the transfer window. They did, and they deserve praise, but it's not always been happy and hunky-dory in the window. Saying that, there was a bit of stick flying over it, but deserve all the plaudits. Rob Edwards and his team have definitely raised the spirits of the full squad. They have. And I think there's a lot of PR things going on at Middlesbrough that in the past, some of them didn't know what PR meant. This season, I think we know what PR. Craig Hignett, my old mate, he's been in talking recently to the players. Rob Edwards asked him to hand out legacy numbers, and he did a wee talk. Yeah, I think, and spoke to Big Pallister. He was asked, "Do you want to?" No, ask me yet, but no. Do you know what I mean? They're trying to involve the past, the present, the future, and I think that's important. That's important. Bernie, what a start to the season, mate. I think it's brilliant. All the positivity going round Teesside. Phenomenal, mate. All positives, no negatives at last. Let's keep up and go to Southampton. Bring back 3 points. Back to Teesside. Up the effing Borough. From Martin Jojo. Borough faithful home and away. Yeah, good to hear from you, Jojo. Up and down the country. There you go. Trevor Chavel says, jobbed for the boys, look no further than Woodgate, gets sacked as manager, comes back as a coach. It's like me being at a club, Stuart, and coming back as a glass collector. There's more than Jonathan Woodgate. Trevor, you've obviously missed one or two other names out, maybe selective or think about it. Lee Davis says, we need the guy from the USA. Yeah, there's a guy we've already signed, but the season just finishing and he's due here. He's a centre back. Well, injuries. Sorry. We need the guy from the USA. He looks and sounds a cracker. It will be injuries that are the main sticking point, but the squad and bench does look better. Of course it does. We're nearly there. I'm going to read these out and that's me finished. I've all shot around me. Yes, that was Raheem Stilling, but yeah, that's that. Yeah, so listen. That's it. I thought I must have read one. There's another thing I wanted to read. So my Total BS podcast, obviously I've did podcasts for a lot of years now and interviewed some of the biggest names in Middlesbrough's history. What I've interviewed in the past with Borough TV and on here, I'll never be able to repeat. Some of these are top international players and guys that are passed away. They're the biggest names in Middlesbrough's history. So that was an honour and a pleasure and a privilege interviewing those guys. But no, I'm just trying to, starting this Monday, I'm introducing a segment, just snappy, few minutes, questions, quick fire questions. And I've got a few already, and I'm going to start playing them this Monday. I'll start with myself, just to get you in the idea. Just steady odd questions, short, sharp, one-word answers, although some people kind of think of a word, or some people go on for 2 days, but it's funny and it's amazing because some of the people and some of the replies. One of my questions is, who's the biggest person that you've met, biggest celebrity, or most famous person? Some are saying politicians, some are saying film stars, royalty. And it makes me laugh and think, wow, did you really meet them? So it's interesting, it's funny, and it's sharp. Interviews are great. Some of the younger listeners think, well, I don't know who they are, it's too long, whatever. This is short and snappy, and obviously I'll be talking about the Borough every podcast anyway. So, on the 30th of October, celebrating 40 years in Teesside. There's a host of players coming. I'm not going to get through them. I don't want to blow the pants off you, but there's one table come up for grab. The tables in the town hall, which is vast, sold out within a week. There's still a few tables, few seats up in the balconies, but the tables, there's one table of 10 come up. So if you want it, get involved. I better give you the number because it'll be gone. And that's it, because people always want, firms and whatever always want tables and groups of mates. They don't want to sit in the balcony on their own or as a twosome. They want a group of people. So if you want the table, there's only one up for grabs. That's why I'm saying it here first, because I'm on here and I'm live. You can phone 01642, which is a Teesside number. This is a town hall, 729729. You can book there for the one table, or you can dial 07368 870 120. So that's 073 688 70120. You can rewind it and look at it, or you can email 7.enterprises@hotmail.co.uk. That's the word 7.enterprises@hotmail.co.uk. There is some tickets for the balcony, but this is for one table. It'll go, I've no doubts. The tables all went in a week, but one has come up. There's a reason. The lads told me the reason. It's a good reason, and so there's one up for grabs. Anyway, thanks for watching. Podcast on Monday. Well done, Big Rob Edwards and his coaching staff. Well done, the players, the fans, Steve Gibson, the recruitment. Everybody deserves the plaudits. We all could criticise. It's easy to criticise. Some people find it hard to praise. I'm not one of them. I like to be balanced. Well done, each and every one of them. Sitting top of the table comfortably. Southampton on next week. Bring them on. Cheers.